In this vlog, we are going to deal with the implementation of Drift database in your Flutter application. So what is Drift? So this tutorial will be very much helpful if you are trying to implement a local storage in your Flutter application, and if you are familiar with Room database in Android application development. So this Drift database is a similar concept in Flutter applications. We will be dealing with this particular Drift database in this particular tutorial series, and we will be trying to know what Drift is, why you should use it, and how to set it up in your Flutter project. So we'll be covering all the required basic things to be considered for implementing Drift database in your Flutter application. So I suggest you to watch this tutorial till the end and understand the implementation so that you won't miss any part of the implementation. Earlier you might be using SQLite database in your Flutter application, and this Drift is a wrapper on that particular SQLite database. So under hood it will be working with SQLite DB only, but over the top you will be getting a wrapper called Drift database, which you can easily handle your database operations here. So you need not write manual queries and all this. So the basic things are like flexibility and type safety is the key factors here when you consider the usage of Drift database. So what is the flexibility and type safety? We'll be going through the different examples, and there you will be clearly understanding how Drift database is flexible than your earlier SQLite based implementation. And again, one more point, again I just want to make sure here is under hood it will be SQLite DB only. Over the top you will be getting a wrapper, and this particular wrapper will make the functioning very much easier than before. So now let's dive into the key features of Drift database, and the key features are strongly typed queries. And here what is the strongly typed queries? Here is like you won't manually write the SQLite queries. Like whenever you try to deal with the database like CRUD operations, you'll be writing queries like select star from and the table name. So we won't be writing this particular manual queries because you are well aware that this might lead to runtime errors. And don't worry, I will be clearly explaining you with the code. I will be explaining you what is the difference between the SQLite queries and how do we write in the Drift database. So auto code generation using build runner. So here we won't be writing much of the code, we'll be generating the code. Most of the boilerplate code will be providing the high level code, and based on which we'll be trying to generate the code using build runner, and this we'll be seeing with example in the code. And the third one is easy table definitions. So we'll be defining our tables with the help of these particular classes, and it is very much easily anyone can understand these particular tables. Just if you read the tables right, you will be very much aware like what are all the fields in the table we are going to create. So there is no any complex query writing for this particular table creation. Instead we will be making use of these classes and try creating our tables. And support streams. So it's not like every time you make a call and try to fetch the data. So sometimes if there is a requirement, right, you can make a single call and you can listen to the stream of data that is coming from the database. And here it's a cross-platform support again, so you can make use of this particular Drift database across Android, iOS, web and desktop based applications. So with SQFlite, so this is the command what we write like query, I can say. So this is a query like select star from users where age is greater than 18. So here you might face runtime issues when you write these particular manual queries here. So something, a spelling mistake or the word you just made, or even there is a difference in the word you use, then it might run into a runtime issue for you and it will not be detected in compile time. So while you compile the application, right, everything works fine, but at the runtime the issue will occur. and how this is been replaced with drift based database query. Here you can see, so db.select, and here we are making db.select, and inside we are considering the user. So inside the database we are pointing to a particular user, where here you can see u is equal to the user details and u.age. So we are considering the user details in which age we are considering is bigger than the value of 18. So we are going in a particular flow here. We first consider the user data inside the user. So we first consider the database. In that we consider the user table. In the user table we got the user details. In that user details we got user age, and that we are comparing is bigger than the value of 18. So this way we wrote this particular condition such that there is no issue, and this is compiled at compile time only. And if there is any issue in this particular command, right, we can know in the compile time itself, and also we can easily refactor the code, which is not possible in the earlier situations. So even if you are having any more confusion at the time of tutorial, right, we will be surely trying to cover all these particular aspects, but this is the basic difference which I want to highlight over here. And here is the schema which I want to show you, like how we create a user table. So here we have just three fields like ID, name and age, and we have provided ID to be auto increment, and name here we have provided minimum and maximum length here, and age also we have made it like nullable. And this is how we define the tables in the Drift database. You can create multiple tables, and at the time of database creation, right, you can provide these particular tables over there, and we'll be seeing that even in the code level. And finally we'll try to see what are all the dependencies required. So here drift underscore flutter and path provider. So these three dependencies we have provided under the dependency tag, so that these will go into the application and will be working in runtime. And the second section is dev dependencies. Here we have specified drift dev and build runner. So these are the two dependencies which are helpful for us in code generation. So we'll be dealing with this particular code generation topic in the tutorial. I'll be showing you how the code will be generated, and these particular two dependencies and the dev dependencies won't go into the final APK or the final application. And the path provider is, again, we use here the path provider dependency just to make sure the path where the SQLite database is stored. So enough of this particular intro, and in the next part of the tutorial we'll try to see how we can implement the Drift database in Flutter. So this is it for this particular tutorial. Stay tuned for more interesting content on Flutter. In the next tutorial, we will be trying to see how we can create the user tables and how we can utilize that in the Drift database. And also we'll try creating the open connection method, and from there we'll try configuring the Drift database and also specifying the schema version. So all those things we'll be trying to cover in the next part of the tutorial.